Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the absolutely fascinating world of sports betting in Turkey. We've gone through the analysis from industry watchers like betplace.us, so you don't have to. And what we found is a market that's caught in this incredible tug-of-war between millions of passionate fans and some really strict government control.
Okay, to really get what's going on in Turkey, you have to understand this one central paradox. Picture this. You've got a nation of 82 million people, a huge number of them being die-hard sports fans. But the government gives them just only six, legal websites that actually place a bet.
So what happens when you have that kind of massive demand crashing up against such a tiny legal supply? Well, you get a really unique, high-stakes environment for bettors, and we're going to break down exactly what that looks like right now.
And get this, that tiny legal market, it's not even a balanced playing field. It's basically a one-company show. A single platform, Nasin, controls more than half, 54%, of all legal betting in the entire country. That is a staggering level of dominance.
You know, you can't really understand this market without understanding the passion. This demand isn't just about numbers. It's fueled by a deep, genuine love for sports. Of course, football is king. The Super League drives a ton of the action. But Turkey's top basketball and volleyball leagues, they have massive dedicated followings of bettors too.
So, why is it so locked down? What's the deal with all of these rules? Well, the answer is buried in a series of laws that have been shaping the country's betting world for decades.
See, this didn't happen overnight. It's been a slow squeeze for years. It really kicked off back in 1997 when most gambling was outlawed. Then, in 2007, they specifically banned online betting. And by 2013, they had the state's banking agency actively looking for payments to enforce these rules.
And they are not messing around with enforcement. This isn't just about the websites. The personal risk for bettors is severe. We're talking about individuals getting caught using unauthorized international sites facing astronomical fines, potentially up to the equivalent of 160,000 British pounds. That's life-changing money.
So when you boil it all down, what you have here is a monopoly, plain and simple. And it's run by the state. At the very center of it all is this one company called IDDA. They are the official state-owned entity that calls all the shots in the legal market.
So you've got this super restrictive market and huge demand. What do you think happens next? Exactly. People start looking for a way around it, and that demand has created a huge opening for international platforms to flood in.
And that's where these big international names come into play. Our source material highlights sites like 1xBet, the trusted platform Melbet, and BETWINNER. You can see they have huge user bases and really positive ratings for a reason. They offer the kind of variety the local market just doesn't have. If you want to check out the list of top sites from the analysis, we've dropped the links for you in the description.
So why take the risk? Well, it really just comes down to a few basic things that every bettor wants. More choice, meaning a wider variety of sports, better odds, which could lead to bigger payouts, and more diverse ways to bet, beyond just picking a winner or a loser.
Okay, so if you're one of the millions of people looking at these international sites, how on earth do you choose a good one and, avoid the scams? Well, the analysis points to a pretty clear checklist that savvy bettors use.
A smart bettor has a kind of mental checklist they run through. First and foremost is security and proper licensing. Then they're looking for competitive odds, a ton of different markets, a site that's actually easy and fun to use, and crucially, customer support that actually helps you when you get it. And here's the bottom line. In this kind of Wild West environment, it's all on you. The responsibility really falls on the user to do their homework. Checking for licenses, reading what other people are saying, and learning to spot those red flags. It's absolutely crucial for staying safe.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does the day-to-day actually look like for a modern bettor in Turkey trying to navigate all this?
Now, this is where it gets really interesting when you look at the traffic numbers. Sure, the local site Nasin gets a huge number of visits, almost 500,000 a day. But look at this. You still have tens of thousands of people every single day heading to these international platforms. That just shows you how strong and persistent the demand for other options really is.
So, how are they actually moving money around with the banks watching? Well, they've got a whole toolkit for that. Things like e-wallets, prepaid vouchers, and even cryptocurrencies are all really common ways to manage funds. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Getting your money out can be a whole lot harder than putting it in.
And all of this leaves us with one big, open question.
You've got technology and what users are actually doing moving way faster than government regulations. So the question is, are Turkey's laws going to change to catch up with this reality, or is this high-stakes cat-and-mouse game between bettors and the state just going to keep on going? It is a fascinating situation and one we'll definitely be watching.